All right, well, I've got after 7, so, good evening. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Lynn, would you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Sullivan?
Here.
Mr. Olshansky?
Here.
Mrs. Vanderwater?
Here.
Ms. Lessinger?
Here.
Mr. Tucker? Mr. Dubzinski?
Here.
Ms. Saban?
Here. Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of the August 3rd meeting, please?
Moved.
Second.
Any comments, questions, changes? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. I just want to reiterate that for the meeting, rules are you have to sign in with the town clerk. Each of the participants is allowed a 3-minute discussion or conversation. You'll be talking directly to the board, not to the other residents in attendance. The board doesn't have to correspond or communicate with you at the time. So it's for us to hear your feedback. And you can speak 1 time per meeting. Okay? All right. So citizens' comments.
Lori Cicarelli? Sorry.
Can you come up to the microphone, please, and give your name and address?
My name is, can you hear me? Yep. My name is Lori Cicarelli. I live at 6694 Pottery Road in Warners. And am I good to go?
Yes.
Timing. So I'm here today to plea with the town of Van Buren to stop the dumping on Pottery Road. We live right across the street from it, and it has been 7 years of dumping of dirt for 7 years. Obviously, the last 2 months have been really bad. We've had hundreds and hundreds of dumps, dirt, daily since July. And at an 8-hour day, at 100 dumps, that's a dump truck coming down our street every 4.8 minutes. It is loud, it is dirty, it is obnoxious. The truck drivers are obnoxious. So I do have plenty of pictures, tons and tons of pictures of the dump trucks coming up and down the street. They do come right to our driveway, and we did have an incident 2 weeks ago where they came with some water. The water came pouring down our driveway. We had like a flood, pretty much, coming down our driveway. We've spent hundreds of dollars to clean up our house, keep it nice, and it's disgusting, dirty. We need to have it stopped. After 7 years, it's got to stop. It's got to be done. So after I contacted Casey and Jason and Alan, who is in charge of this dumping. Alan works for Harrison Burroughs. The dumping kind of stopped. They came and took their bulldozer away, I guess, and it kind of has stopped. We've had a few since then, but it hasn't completely stopped. But they're not abiding by what their permit says, for sure. They don't clean the road every day. I don't feel like the town has taken enough steps to have the neighborhood be what it should be. It's a beautiful neighborhood. The neighbors everybody's fed up with it. Everybody is just fed up with the dumping. It's dirty, it's bad.
This is going on to the property totally adjacent to you. Is it just, it's dirt and that's it, right?
It's dirt, yeah. Well, from what we know of, and I mean, I don't know what other materials have been dumped. It's been going on for 7 years. He's only had a permit for a year. Who knows what he dumped before that? I mean, 7 years ago, they were still cleaning out the lake. Who knows if it was coming from the lake? Nobody knew, because nobody
Well, for someone to dump onto a property, they would have to get permission from the owner, but it would also have to be permitted, would have to come a permit through the town.
I don't know the logistics as far as, all I know is he's only had a permit for a year, and that year is up the end of this year.
Okay.
So the minutes that I have, he got a permit like last August, I guess. But he was fined, I guess, before that. But the complaints, you know, we lived with it for a long time, and then I think it's out of hand now. I think it's just,
I guess what's the point? Are they trying to develop the site? Is it fill it in? I mean,
we heard that they were gonna put a house there. I don't know
Okay.
those
It's
logistics.
just weird, 7 years of.
Jason, what do you know about this? Because you were mentioned in,
So, 7 years ago, I don't know, someone up there complained that there was nothing at the site. And Dave Pringle at the time issued a citation to him, brought him in, and they made him get a fill permit at the time. That one expired, things were okay for a couple of years, and then they started dumping again. So Dave again dragged them in, and they had to do another fill permit. It's going back a long time, but I think what they were talking about was filling in their side lot there, so it slopes off pretty good from the road. They want to subdivide that off and build a house there. They live right next to it. That's the streets I recall.
so their fill permit at this point goes through the end of this year.
Correct, last day.
And I would assume that it has conditions on it as to what can be dumped in there.
Yes, yes.
So he's obviously worked with somebody to get the material to dump onto his yard.
Right. And the throughway project it's huge, if anybody's come by it. There's a lot of material there. The asphalt's gone right, it's still on the throughways property by exit. Electronics Parkway. That
Okay.
exit's all stockpiled up in the woods there.
Mhm.
And then the material that's coming here is the old sub base and soil underneath that.
Can I just say one more thing? Probably my 3 minutes are up, but my thing is that I don't know obviously 7 years, there's a lot of logistics in there, but I was also told that from Alan that our code enforcer, Casey, initiated the dump from the thruway, said, there you go, they almost invited them to come and dump there. After 7 years of knowing that there's been this dumping for 7 years. Now, yeah, he hasn't been code enforcer for the whole 7 years, but he said, oh yeah, I got a place for you to dump all this dirt. If it was any other neighborhood in Camillus or Van Buren, this is a beautiful neighborhood, and they're destroying it. So I just feel like that was not a good call by Casey. But my driveway's a mess. I have tons of pictures of the dump trucks. I mean, it's bad. And nobody can say, oh, it's just a few dump trucks. It's not a few dump trucks. It's a lot. I can't keep my windows open. Everything is dirty. I have pictures of our cars. I mean, the kids can't play outside. It's just bad. It's bad. And I just hope that somebody would care enough to say, this is it. It's got to be done. If he wants to build a house, build a house. Make it look nice. Right now, it looks like it's just dirt. Mm-hmm. And it's everywhere. It's in the road. It's on our cars, in our houses. I mean.
Well, we can check and see what the permit is for, how long it's for. If it's through the end of the year, I don't know that we can go in at this point and tell them they can't do any more dumping.
And I understand that, but
But if they're not-
hopefully because we're going into fall and winter, obviously it's a lot less, but who knows, it could be just as much if it's coming from the thruway. And then you're talking about, mud, and it's just not dirt and dust, then it's mud, and they did try to clean it. I think they've tried to clean it 3 times. And the 3rd time it came into my driveway, which was a real mess. My driveway is a horseshoe driveway and it scoops down. So it came down the driveway and it's still there actually. It's not even coming up. So, we have a beautiful neighborhood, beautiful neighbors. I'd love to see it become what it should be.
All right,
If
well,
not,
I'll talk to Casey and see if they are supposed to be cleaning the road daily, if they're not.
they've cleaned it 3 times in 7 years. So
Okay.
they're not, that's just one of the things that is,
Well, we'll look at the permit, what they're
Yeah.
supposed to do, and see,
yeah.
get him.
And they did come and clean my driveway, I will tell you, that they did spray it down with my hose and a water truck, but it didn't really come up. It's clay, it's yucky,
Okay.
I spent $1,500 to seal my driveway in 2 years. It looks terrible,
Okay.
looks terrible, but
Thanks, Lori.
Thank you very
Appreciate
much.
it.
Jason, I got a question for you. Was it the planning zoning board that created this permit so they could dump over there?
That's correct.
So she talks, conversation came up that it's through the end of the year. Is the planning and zoning board able to shut it off and that's it?
I think
What is their
It has
obligation?
an option for an extension, doesn't it?
What is their obligation to the throughway? I mean, if it's creating a problem here in the town, they're gonna have to find someplace else. Can we do that?
I believe the throughway's pulled out of there.
Okay.
They were getting too many calls from us. It'd be too big a hassle for them to field their calls. The residents, and I think they just pulled out of it. They cleaned the road one last time and left. I will say that part of their fill permit is that they had to level it out, topsoil and seed it. So it's not always going to look like stockpile.
I know, I've seen it.
All right, so we'll have Casey take a look at that tomorrow, and we'll also send a note to the planning board, just so they're aware that it's been a problem having dumping done there. Okay.
Maybe the board can offer a recommendation to the planning board to, not extend.
Yep. Lynn, who's next, please? Nobody? Okay. All right, moving on to item number 1. Consider a resolution to decline participating in the New York State Annual Reappraisal Reassessment for 2023. Can I get a motion?
I would like to make a motion to move toward resolution to decline the participation in the reappraisal.
I second it.
Any comments, questions?
Comments, our residents need a break.
Yeah, so maybe just a little explanation. It's a kind of a pause.
Yeah, at this point, there are 6 towns in Onondaga County that maintain the assessments at 100%, which means they have to be at least at 95% for the comptroller's office to say that you are within the 100% range. At this point, we understand that what we're doing is not maintaining that 100%. So assessments will stay where they are this year. They won't be raised next year in '23. So for 1 year, at 1 year to figure out where things are going, what the housing market is doing, and then we will have to look at this again next year, probably next July, August, and figure out, do we stay where we are now? Do we go back to a reappraisal? But what you want to do is make sure that you don't get too far down below. So you need to keep it steady. So that's what we have to look at over the next year to see where we stand.
And we're not the only ones that are doing this, is that correct?
Correct, yeah. Basically, all but 6 towns in the county do not participate in an annual reappraisal.
So in very clear, simple terms, our assessor will not go through a reassessment process next year. No one will receive a reassessment of their home for the property value.
Unless there's been a building permit or something to drive that.
Absolutely.
All right. Having a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Number 2, consider approval of settlement agreement with Charter Cable regarding a subscriber audit, and then to authorize the supervisor to execute the agreement and pay the auditor. Can I get a motion for that, please?
Moved.
Second.
Okay, the background of this is last year, Claude and I decided to go ahead and have a firm called Troy and Banks do an audit of the cable franchises paid to the town from Charter Communications. And so as a result of that audit, I believe it was 130 or so homes were found that they should have been included as a subscriber in the town of Van Buren, for which we should have received franchise fees on the video services that that home purchases monthly. So this was the settlement agreement that all parties agreed to, that thought was in the best interest. I've spoken personally with the franchise authority at Time Charter, and also with Troy and Banks, and everybody feels that this is legitimate, that we've gotten all the addresses corrected. So at this point, we're recommending that this be approved. So, any other comments, questions? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 3, this is a request to approve the court clerk, full-time court clerk, to attend the New York State Association of Municipal Court Clerks Conference in October down in Albany with the cost not to exceed $1,300. Can I get a motion for that, please?
Moved.
I'll second.
Patty McGuire is the full-time court clerk. She took over after Elaine retired. And so both Judge O'Kane and Judge Plumley thought this would be a good experience for her to learn stuff at the court clerks meeting. And so they recommended this for her to attend. It wasn't budgeted at $1,300, but since the judges are not going to be using their training money conferences, they have said to put it towards this so that Patty could go.
So technically, it is now a budgeted item.
It's now, yeah, we're going to use the same funds for conferences.
Yep.
So. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 4, I'd like to get a resolution to appoint Noel Platt to the part-time court clerk position effective September 12th of this year. It's at the union rate of $16.42 per hour, which is budgeted.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any other questions or comments? Okay.
Will she be clerk for both justices, or like just during the day or at night, or?
She will be working both court nights, Monday nights and Wednesday nights. So her schedule would be about 1 to 8:30 on Mondays and Wednesdays, and then Tuesday, I believe it's like 10 to 4, something along that line. It's
Okay.
the same number of part-time hours.
Okay.
And they have interviewed close to 20 people for this position. And this person has previous court experience in family court, so she came highly recommended.
And do you get benefits if you're part-time?
You get vacation time, sick leave time, and you can sign up for health insurance.
It's just at a different rate?
Correct. yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, number 5, get a resolution to approve the trash hauler license renewal for waste management. Can I get a motion?
I'll move it.
I'm sorry, I didn't
No,
know.
like, is no one awake?
I'm sorry?
I feel like no one's approving anything.
I'll second it.
So moved.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Counselor and committee reports. Wendy, how about if you want to start tonight, please?
So I have a little bit of a, at the last meeting, I was attending the Canton Woods Senior Center Board Director meetings, and I forgot about it. So I have nothing to report. So I apologize.
It'll happen. Yeah, it'll happen.
I do have some questions for our park committee. Ron, I don't know if you were reporting on the summer of for our Parks Department, but I was interested in knowing how the concession went with the food truck, and I know that we were really excited about moving the whole concession stand to a vendor so we could, you know, have a return of investment and be collecting rent, so I just wondered how that all worked out with the concession stand. I also wanted to know if numbers were up and if you had any data on how many people came and any of that kind of stuff.
I didn't get anything yet. I'll have it for the next board meeting.
Okay.
But if you want to go back on the concessions, it didn't really work out very well. We had a lot of issues with that. Heidi and I have talked with Mary Frances. Next year, she's going to take it over again.
Oh, okay.
Heidi can do a much better job up there with it. And I just want to leave it at that. It really didn't pan out. I mean, after opening the park, after it had been closed for 2 years, and trying to streamline it when she was having difficulty getting guards and water safety instructors and everything, we thought that this might be the right way to go about it, and it wasn't. Or maybe we picked the wrong person.
Yeah.
So we're going to turn around and we're going to put it back in her hands and let her do it starting next year. And I will have a type of a report next board meeting for how the park went.
Okay, I should have emailed you earlier than just asked you today, so I apologize for no precursory questionnaire.
One other thing on the concession, there was concern that the pricing was too high, so that people weren't buying product.
Okay.
And there were a couple of, the vendor was surprised that they had to be there even if the weather wasn't great. And he was told in the beginning, you're there every day that the pool is open. So there were concerns, well, I'm not going to make any money today because there's not going to be that many people. Well, that's not the contract you signed. So that's another reason that we're going to go back.
Gotcha. Okay, well, that's too bad. I was hopeful that that was going to work.
She was really hoping that it would work out as well.
Right.
So.
Okay, other than that, I don't think I have any comments.
Darcy?
I don't have anything this evening.
Ron?
Yes, in the parks, and this pertains to the Erie Canal Trail, somebody has approached us, and I'm looking for a board approval on this, that this couple wants to put a memorial bench on the Erie Canal Trail down by White Bottom Brook. Chris and I went down there and spoke with the couple. Chris went down with Doug Foster, the highway department, because a lot of this, where the people want to put this bench is where he does a little bit of maintenance on White Bottom Brook. And these people have approached us, and we are in the process of getting a form together to have things done properly, nice materials. The Buildings and Grounds Department, the Parks Department, they're going to be in charge of these things going through. And she has picked a bench through a reputable company that's Trex, it's steel, it's plastic, it's mounted to the ground. It was recommended by Chris, they picked him. They are going to buy the bench. They are going to give Chris all the materials to do it, and our Parks Department will install it for them. And I think it would be a great enhancement for the town down there because this means a lot to them. It's because I think it's for her mom. And right now she is out on she's got a 30-day window where she's got to buy this, and she would like to purchase this. She pays all costs, everything. And I would like to get a poll board, so if we can move ahead on this, so this woman can get this bench going before she loses her bid.
Well, what we'd like to do, this should come through the park committee.
Yes.
And then, so the park committee can make a formal recommendation to the board at the next meeting, which is still within her time window for the.
But I'm looking for this, to maybe give this woman the yay or nay. I mean, you and I have discussed this with them and in there, so I would like to know if we could at least let the lady have the opportunity to order it.
Is the location an issue? Where they want to put it? I mean, you mentioned highway maintenance.
No,
No, me and Ron discussed it as well as Chris, and as long as where we've talked about putting it, I would kind of want to, because we do need that for turnaround access. Because we do, It
So-
does require regular meetings,
That
but
would be the only
it's
thing.
very much available.
Is the space non-negotiable from their perspective?
No, Chris is gonna go in there and move it around with a machine and get it pushed right back off.
No, the specific location where she wants to put the bench.
That would be the only thing, that we
Oh,
haven't
yeah.
properly vetted before someone was, if she wants to order it, I'm not gonna stuff them.
Well, I assume where she would want it to be near where the canal meets the creek, and actually be closer over to there. I feel confident that it would work out properly without problems.
Okay.
And I also feel that most likely whatever it was, if deemed necessary, would be relatively easily movable, if it ever came to that for meetings, a large size project.
I just would want the understanding that highway and or buildings and grounds will actually make the decision of where the bench,
We already did that.
okay, I just don't.
Yep, we talked about it. Everybody was on board when we had this conversation with the people.
So I guess I'm confused because when Corporal Kyle Schneider Foundation came before the board to put a sign on the Van Buren Lodge to donate a defibrillator, you had a big stink that we were gonna go through this whole donation process, come up with a form. I've yet to see a form.
And we are in the process of doing that. When we have our Parks Committee meeting, we will be discussing that and taking that, I shouldn't say we probably will, but we're going to move forward on that. Time has cooled down now, everything where we can sit down and make these types of decisions and move forward with this. Yes, we are.
Well, this still has to come to the park committee. The park committee would make the recommendation to the town board.
Right.
So, yeah. And as far as a form of acceptance, there is a draft at Costello to just review. It's very basic. Mike, you've seen it as well. And it's just to say, who's giving us what, where's it going, what's the cost, what do we have to do, what do we have to give them in return?
Okay.
Just so it's black and white, so.
And what
it
they
will-
do to maintain it, should it be needed.
Yeah, yeah. So it'll come through
The
the,
meetings would be on them, correct?
Yes,
Not on either one of them.
right.
right, yeah. So it'll come in an official recommendation, and we'll just verify the location of it for the next board meeting.
Again, the bench, I just wanted to bring it up because the lady has a time frame that she's working on to order this. Otherwise, she's got to keep on going out and getting the bid and getting the bid. And
So are you going to forward this donation form to Corporal Kyle Schneider's Foundation so we can get the defibrillators?
when we're going to have our Parks Committee meeting and we're going to discuss all that and get the ball rolling on that. Absolutely.
Yep. Okay. Anything else?
No, I'm all done.
Okay. Mike?
Yeah, actually, also related to parks, there was a complaint from some of the residents at the Harbor Heights Park about graffiti that was on some of the play equipment and on the pavilion building. And I just want to basically congratulate Chris and the building and grounds because literally that day, they were there repainting and they had it cleaned up within 2 days. So they were out there, Luke was out there with somebody else who I'm not familiar with, and they took care of it right away. The Homeowners Association president sent an email thanking us for it, so it was a great job on their part.
This is the second vandalism at Harbor Heights Park in, I think, about a month, and the town has reacted very quickly. The first time, there were some not too kind words that were scribbled inside the, what was it?
One of the
Yeah, one of the playground
features, yeah,
things.
slider.
On the inside, the outside, they took care of that. And then we also had a situation at the tennis courts where there was a vandalism. I think it was Labor Day weekend, so we're working with the contractor to see what that's going to be to repair that.
I just want to stress that building and grounds did a great job responding to that very quickly and taking care of the problem. Residents appreciate it.
Jenny?
I have nothing at this time.
Okay. Doug?
Real quickly, people will be happy to know that we got all of our paving done at the last week. It was actually not scheduled to go yet, but the vendor called with some availability. I was on vacation, spoke to our foreman, and we spoke to the guy, and they felt like they could get it done. Some of them canceled their vacation to stay and do it. They knocked it out of the park. There is some reparations that we need to do just to filling dirt spots and stuff like that, but the paving itself is done, which is nice to get done before school starts. Obviously now school started, so I asked everybody, there will still be our work crews on the road, and many, many other places still work crews on the road. So please, days are getting shorter, sunsets and sunrises will affect your vision. Please drive safely, keep an eye out for kids as well as workers out of the road.
I got a question for you. Somebody in Village Green asked me about the paving's great, they're very happy with it. Is somebody gonna come in the back end and hydro seed that and get it all done?
We actually, we narrowed Village Boulevard from Van Buren to the circle. We have a dirt slinger coming in on Monday.
Perfect.
That will be filling in those and raking it, and then hydro seeding is coming in, doing all that, plus the work that we've done earlier this year from patrol and doing the drainage work. So
Thank you.
that's all hopefully by the end of next week, if not early into the next week, will be all filled in, raked, and hydro seeded.
Thank you.
Doug, are you guys still on 4 days?
We are.
Until when?
I would have to look up the date, but it's about the end of September, early October.
Yeah, I was thinking it was early October too.
Yeah, for some reason, the 6th, I don't know if it falls on a Thursday, Friday, or Monday, but I can't recall off the top of my head. Somewhere right around there.
All right, thanks.
My comments, all I have is we're notified by Okra that there is a house on Brickyard Road that they own that will be torn down. It's got asbestos, so what they've just decided to do is just tear the whole thing down rather than try and pull stuff out. And then the other house adjacent to it that they also own, they are in the process of evicting that tenant, and it's going to be going through town court here in the next couple of weeks to a month. So that's been a nuisance spot that we've gotten complaints on here at the town, so those two things are being handled. That's all I have. Jason?
I have a couple of things. The town's been pretty lucky getting some funding over the last few years, starting to spend that money. Snowdale Park basketball court, Highway Department got that graded, and that is supposed to get paved, basketball court this month. We got some money for 2 separate culverts on Connors Road. We replaced the smaller of the two over the last couple weeks. Turned out very well. Thank you to our state politicians. I don't remember who gave what, but.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Love member items.
Yep. Yeah, that was part of Southern Magnarelli's $350,000 to repair Connors Road.
And basketball court might have been community development.
Yes, the community,
Right, the
yes.
block grant.
Yeah, that was through Onondaga County, so. Okay. The attorney's gone. Lynn, do you have any comments? Okay. Get a motion then to adjourn.
Motion.
September 23rd. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.